virtual photo walks.
Hey there, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Dominic Phillips, and thanks for joining us again here with Virtual Photo Walks.
Yay!
Thank you guys for making time for us here today. I am in Boulder, Colorado, in the northern part of Boulder, in the foothills. I'm a little bit in the silhouette of the sign here because it's a little windy today, but the weather's great for a walk. And we're going to check out some prairie dogs, get some view of the mountains, and get a little look at some of the flood damage that happened here last year. And if you look at any of the archives, this is an area that we did one of the photo walks about 2.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. So you can flip back and forth between those photos and kind of see the differences in the areas over the years. But if you have any questions as normal, let me know. Chat in the chat line. John will let me know, and we'll try and, show you some cool stuff here today.
That's great.
Decided to go with a little bit of a longer lens today. The weather, I have to say, is pretty darn great. It's a little windy today, and that's why I'm hunkered down behind the sign here before we start. But I think it's probably going to be in the mid-60s here this morning. You'll see a lot of people jogging, wearing T-shirts and shorts. I'm a little bit more bundled up because we'll be moving a little slower. But, Colorado, I can't complain about the weather out here. We have about 300 sunny days per year on average. So even if it's bad weather, it's still good weather out here.
Not like Hawaii, though.
Well, no, that's a little bit more consistent, but we do have more seasons out here, I think.
Well, you get a serious prize if you show us a turtle today, I'll tell you.
That would be something. Although we do have, in Colorado, in the flatlands, in early springtime, so we're getting close, you'll see these large common snapping turtles and large alligator snapping turtles that are about this big.
You hear that?
And they'll be crawling out of the ponds, to go lay their eggs for that season. Yep. Well, let's go ahead and start our walk here.
Thank you. So he's going to start on the hike, guys. Okay.
Yeah, well, again, thank you guys for joining us, and, thanks everyone behind the scenes for helping out and making this possible here. So some of you guys, especially I know you guys up in Buffalo, I think were with the walk around Wonderland Lake.
Take a picture.
So we had a good time walking around there, and we got out on the ice and saw some ice fishermen and talked with them. We are about, a mile.
Hey, Annie. There he is.
You can do
We're back again.
There's Robert Redford.
You keep that lead, Dominic, and he just keeps coming back.
Yep, nope, can't keep me down. Like some of once we get up here in the foothills, sometimes the signal bounces off these mountains a little funky here. So if I do drop out, I will be back as soon as possible.
You're crystal clear. It's amazing.
Well, perfect. If I'm this clear, I'm going to see if you guys can see. If I turn to the right up here, and we'll get a little closer to this, but you can see even right up here, there's this little dirt, almost little avalanche there, and that's one of the many washout areas that we got so much rain that we had a lot of washout in this area. As we pop around to that side, we'll see an area of that is quite a.
Hey, Patty, darling, do you have me today? I don't know. Yes, I have you.
All right. Well, this area that we're coming up to, again, we did a virtual photo walk here about 2 years ago. It was in April of 2012. And this little spot here is just a little bitty creek. But as you can see, once we get closer, the amount of damage that the flood did, this little creek that's about 2 to 3 feet wide has carved out an area here about 50 feet wide. So this used to be just a little bridge,
And so he's got.
and this creek used to go under this bridge. So this was just a little bitty stream that used to come right down this wash and go underneath this little bitty bridge here. But now, when we get out into the middle of it, we can see that the damage, and this is just one of the canyons that got flooded. So all of this, if you look at some of the older photos, it all used to be just, you know, grassland with this little bitty creek running through it. We're going to have to cross the path here. Now up and to the right, further upstream, we will get to there by the end of our walk. On the other side of those trees, they have a lot of geology classes coming here.
Oh, guys, see that?
So the young geologists will take a look at these ridges that have been cut out, you know, and they can look back tens of thousands of years and further back to learn a little bit about the geological history here. A couple hundred yards away, maybe, to a pretty large prairie dog camp. So hopefully we will get up there, and maybe we'll just sit down and try and stay really still and see if they take any interest in our camera here.
Do you want to take it on? I do what you.
You know, this was just the line that the water took. So we'll take a look here just on our left and look at what a prairie dog burrow looks like.
Thank
This
you.
is a little bit of an older one.
Did you
Yeah,
get
Patty, you can get them to all look up the Wikipedia for prairie dogs.
I like it.
Yeah. Now this one I can tell is a little bit more disused,
So nice.
just because it doesn't have new dirt on the outsides like some of the other ones you'll see. The hole has kind of been collapsed, and that's probably by rain or time. But as we get closer, and just behind you here, we have a little colony of, I believe they are black-tailed prairie dogs. We have about 5 varieties of prairie dogs in Colorado, and they're a very important part of our ecosystem because they are, you know, not only do they do a lot as far as spreading seeds and helping to reclaim some of the ground, but they're also a big food source because a lot of the coyotes and foxes and hawks and a lot of other creatures eat the prairie dogs. As we get closer here, you might hear them calling out, and we'll listen for them, and they're warning people that someone is close. Move my tripod down to prairie dog level here. And we will just take a quick look at what a currently used prairie dog burrow looks like. Now all of these burrows lead to each other. So you will see one prairie dog, and here we have some flagging. So we have this little hole here. And when they saw me coming, even though I haven't seen really any out today, when they see you coming, one of them will let out a little call, and you might see their head pop up and down out of this hole. But all of the different holes are linked. So if we look, we can see little mounds here, there, there, there. And this entire little area here is full of those little burrows. So a little 90-degree back to the trail here. You know, if the sun came out just a little bit more and the wind calmed down, I'm sure these little guys will start popping their heads out.
There's 2 right there.
Ha ha ha! Boulder prairie dogs, yeah. Yeah, this is a common area for hiking. You know, a lot of people will do some trail running. We have, you know, one trail, this, you can actually hike all the way down and get to Wonderland Lake. which is where we were at a month or so ago. So all of these trails link up. So I think we're going to just camp up here on this ridge for a little bit and see if we hear or see any prairie dogs. Huge wash area affected by the floods. Way up here we have a trail that was washed out and has been repaired. But if you can see, everything is just kind of been washed out from that area, and all that's left, you know, are the larger rock pieces. And we can see that that just washes right over that prairie dog colony. So they've marked some of the active burrows. But I think right up behind the dog park here, which is just to our right, we have some prairie dogs that you'll see the fence has been blacked out, I think, between the dog park and the prairie dogs. Because the prairie dogs will be, you know, a foot off of the fence. And the dogs just love that.
Oh, look, they got a walking stick, and those are serious hikers.
Oh yes, we do not mess around with our outdoor activities here in Boulder.
LSB at its finest.
Oh yes, we have, you know, an REI and a whole bunch of little bitty places as well.
Oh, Dominic, did you?
All right, I do see a lot of flags up here, and so we will just camp in that area and see if any of these prairie dogs are out and about today. So do you guys know what a prairie dog looks like? Do you guys know what we're looking for?
Heather just says they're looking up facts on prairie dogs right now.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
Doing research.
And again, I think these guys are the black-tailed prairie dogs.
What kind of prairie dogs did you say?
Oh, I think they're black-tailed. All right, so yeah, so we can see all of these little orange flags. And again, they really only flagged this since after the floods, so they know what's active and what's not. It's like all of the wildlife we're looking at, we try to respect their boundaries. Because this side, and this is what the wind does in Boulder here. No sign is safe unless it's buried in concrete here. But much like the turtle warnings, we have the prairie dog warnings here, that tampering with prairie dog traps constitutes obstructing government operations. So now when they say prairie dog traps, this is an area where they have been trying to relocate a number of the prairie dogs here, just because some people think that the prairie dogs have gotten a little too prolific in this area. And gosh, you know, I'm hoping that that's not the reason that we haven't seen any prairie dogs.
They might have removed them.
Yeah. There is, you know, historically a long battle between farmers and ranchers and, you know, prairie dogs. Kind of like, hey there, everyone again. Sorry, it told me to sign out and sign back in again.
All right, I've just docked you some wages.
Oh, all right. Well, let's go ahead and get you guys back into my little tripod here, and I do hear some prairie dogs a little bit further up the hill, and we'll probably hear them talking to us. Oh, excellent. Well, we will keep hearing, keep listening for them, and we see the flat irons of Boulder. From one of our future photo walks here, we will get down to Chautauqua Park and have a very nice little walk around in the area right at the base of the foothills.
What about some of the meadows with spring flowers and things like that?
Yep, you know, a lot of that it will be coming up here in the next couple of weeks. You know, I think within the next month or so. And we're going to keep an eye out for see if we can find a good place as far as signal goes, and get some walks through some meadows. We might just do Estes Park again, because
Well, you
that
get some great wildlife right out your back door.
I do. We have all sorts of creatures that come through our house. I live about 8 or 9 miles up that way. So we're going to pop back down this trail. And came up from that area. This is the prairie dog colony that we haven't had much luck with today, although the sun is really starting to come out in full force. You know, and as these dogs pass here, we will keep our ears out for prairie dogs giving their warning sound. You know, normally there would be about a dozen of them at least running around in the field from burrow to burrow. But again, I think the flooding might have relocated them a little bit. Over past this little ridge, we'll come across the entrance to a gold mine, which is gold is a huge part of Colorado's history. And we'll probably see, you know, a big difference because it's right on the edge of where the river did all of its damage. So you'll not only get to see the entrance to a gold mine, but you'll get to see a little bit of, you know, what the river really did down there.
Maybe you should have brought a pan with you and done a little gold panning. Maybe that flood washed some more little color down the creek.
Oh yeah, you know what? It is in the plan. Where I live, which again is about 8 miles up the canyon, that you know, pretty much 8 miles right past where we're looking right now. I live up there, and my house, it's on a big hill. It's probably 45 degrees or more most of the time, and down at the bottom of the little canyon, we have a little ditch that I'll tell you, it looks like this most of the year. So it's normally completely empty, no water, just a little bit of spring runoff. But the flood put so much water down there, and we were cut off from the rest of town for about 6 days up there. We were without power, and the neighborhood just kind of banded together. But it opened up this area here that we're going to get back to. We'll see a huge scar as we get closer here that's just been ripped away by the water. And I have this at the bottom of our yard. So I have my metal detector ready to go. I've just been waiting for all the snow to melt, because even though it's nice and sunny down here, and again, I'm a little warm in my
well, you never know
in my jacket.
You might just find a little pocket of nuggets there, and you'd be a happy guy.
Oh, exactly. You know, my history, by trade, I'm a stonemason, and you know, I'm quite the rock hound. I have you know, a good number of stones, even if it's just from different quarries. You know, from the same location as the marble that they got the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial. I have some of the stones from those quarries. Lots of different international things too. I have never found even a little stick of gold.
Today's your day. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind at all. You know, in fact, this area here is the area, you know, we're a couple hundred yards away, maybe 200 yards away, where we'll come down and we'll see a group of maybe 30 geology students from the University of Colorado coming here and doing their field work.
That'd be cool.
Yep.
And whether or not they've found gold or not, that I don't know.
I covered the Dawson City gold panning events, and was up there for a couple of weeks. And they would put 4 flakes of gold in a great big drum of dirt, and these guys had like a minute or so to find the 4 flakes, and they could pan all that dirt and find those 4 flakes in like a couple of minutes. It was amazing.
Wow. You know, some people that put up with 3 or 4 days of solid rain, you can see how close, you know, some of these houses word to this. And unfortunately, if we continued up this canyon about 3/4 to 1 mile, there were 2 or 3 houses down on the left and these beautiful little old farm properties that were just completely inundated, and they had parts of their houses washed away. But we were still lucky compared to a lot of other mountain communities that got hit.
How's downtown?
We still have communities that it's going to take. Downtown Boulder is pretty good. They had some issues along Boulder Creek, which again, the Boulder Creek, probably from the library to the Dushanbe Tea House, is another walk that we've done in the past, and hopefully we will get to again. But they had a bit of a mess. Some spots, the big problem is when the river decides it wants to go somewhere where we didn't want it to go. And the big question is, do we try to move the rivers back to where they were, or do we build around them? And there's arguments for both. But yeah, this wash area here, because this is really where the first spot where all of the canyon drainage could pan out. And once I get past this tree, we will see here to the right, again, lots of people really dealt with a lot of flood issues because this wash just opened up right into their backyards. And we're just getting ready to crest and walk down into the basin itself.
Yeah, natural.
We've gotten out of the wind.
Where it's swirled around, the water's had the swirl. That would be a perfect collecting spot. The gold would drop out right there. There was a story a fellow told a long time ago about the Northwest Territories and the Klondike, that the old boy, the grandfather, who'd been up there and was in his 90s, told his grandson, I made it big, I hit it big, and nobody would ever believe him. And he said, we were coming out with mules packed with gold, and we were crossing this bridge, and it let go, and the mules all got swept down, and the gold all fell off the mules, and it's under that old bridge. Nobody believed him, except for his grandson.
Oh no.
Grandson went back with diving equipment and found some of the gold and brought it back to the old.
Oh, that's excellent.
Isn't that a great story?
That's excellent. I love it. Colorado has so much history, as pertaining to gold and mining. When you read a lot of the old stories, it's just amazing. Now, this little scar that we have right here, we'll see this is actually right on top of the gold mine that I was talking about.
How deep would they go?
And especially now that this is kind of in the green belt, this has been purchased up by. This one is a straight normal tunnel mine.
Okay. And
the depth here, it really depends, and that has a lot to do with the strata lines of the rocks. Whereas we get up a little closer to here, we can see that really this rock face, it's almost aligned straight up and down. So it was all land that was like this, and then when everything collided, everything got turned up and on its edge. So mine depth really has a lot to do with, what kind of crevice you're in there. So it's going to really change from mine to mine. And a lot of the older properties, even up at my house, in the northwest corner of the property, I have a little gold mine there. I do, yes. I do.
That's cool. Well,
and here we,
So you throw a party at your house and hand everybody a shovel when they come in and say, "Get digging."
Exactly. I just need to get some people to sign some paperwork first. Gold mine entrance here. And we got a little silhouette, so I'm going to try and block everything out here.
I want to see samples.
Now, again, I'm not sure if any of you guys were with us on our walk when we were here 2 years ago. Came in here, these are the ones that have bridges washed out and roads washed out to them. And just as you get back up that canyon different ways, You know, a lot of people had some damage done. But now when John was saying, you know, when you get this washout, you know, up here we have, you know, where the gold mine was and where the ground used to be. And if we go down, we can see how much has been washed out. And now a lot of that leaves all this sediment and things like that, but it also opens up some of the larger,
Yeah, you want to get into that good
rock.
gravel. You want to get into that good gravel, eh? See what.
Yep. We can even see here, and this is a lot of what the geology students are looking for when they're coming down here, because all of this has eroded away, and they can look at rocks and.
Is that quartz and?
That either looks like a quartzite mix, or if you hit a really rich area, and that is how a lot of towns today actually came about. We have Gold Hill, Colorado. We have Marble, Colorado. Masonville, Colorado. A lot of these names are true to their meaning, but not so much with others. Sometimes it was just a lure to get miners and prospectors to go there and purchase some land rights. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff washed down in here, and it might take a couple years before some people try to get to it. Now this is where we used to go up the trail. So we are going to have to continue down a little bit further to the right and find a proper way up, because I don't think I'm going to make that one. But they do have some little steps that have been made over here, and we are following some of these little cairns, which these guys are just little markers. So we see this one right here. So these are just kind of normal trail markers that are saying straight ahead, but there is a whole system of communication using cairns that people, normally hikers, campers, and hunters, know that you can give people directions or communicate with other people that are on the trail. So some people will do this with rock stacks. Some people will do it by just doing shapes of rocks on the ground. But you can also do it with sticks.
Dominic, we just had an idea. Patty had an idea about downloading the geocaching app, and then you if you see something hidden up on a ridge or something, we go and see and find it, and you put a little note in from the Aspire people from Buffalo.
Oh, you know, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
So we'll do some photowalks geocaching trips.
Oh, excellent. Yes.
There. See how easy it is to organize something?
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that a pretty picture?
There you go.
Yeah, I took advantage of the little drop out there to huff it up the hill. So mind my being a little out of breath.
Your bandwidth doesn't like hollows.
No. Yeah, we just came up that.
Well, stay up high.
Yeah, he's out of breath. He just crawled. Yeah, well, didn't crawl, but I would be.
Yeah.
Look at
yeah, especially because, you know, we're already at 72 or 5,600 feet about where I'm at.
How'd you like that in your backyard? Mountains and...
Yeah, not too bad. You know, this area, we've talked about the mule deer before, and by the time the afternoon hit, because now they're kind of back in the shade a little further, this whole area here will have maybe a dozen mule deer. They kind of go from there down to this area next to the river. And we call them mule deer because they have big floppy ears. They don't look quite as small or cute as some of the other white-tailed deer in areas of the nation. So now just to our right, and he's just on top of this yucca, and there he's flying away. That's one of the warbling sounds that you hear. And you'll see here in just a moment or two, while I'm a little out of breath, we have gotten up a little bit higher here.
Oh, he's closer to that fence, see?
Patty, is your crew available 7:30 Friday morning?
No, we're not really available till about 9:30, unfortunately.
Still might be going on, but we're going to Singapore.
Oh.
Ooh.
So 7:30 Friday morning.
That sounds cool.
7:30 Eastern time, and it'll be about 7:30 at night their time, and then we'll go on for at least an hour. So if you want to ping when you get into work,
we'll ping.
got some people there. Come in because we'll be.
We're going to sort of look at this whole thing here, and we can get an idea of just how much water was coming down this hill. Now, the flood that we had in Boulder, we received a whole year's worth of rain in 1 week.
Wow.
So if you think about that, for every time it rains throughout the entire year, we got that in 1 week. And normally, we don't get that out here. So they said it was a once every 1,000 years, if not once every 10,000 years event. Because we do prep for something called the 100-year flood out here. But there was no prepping for a 1,000-year flood out here. So this is a good example because above that ridge, it just goes back down. So there's not a whole bunch of water that would be behind that. And that's just from water that collected in that area.
Real. Oh. Wow. Get off of there.
That's amazing. That's a lot of force.
That is a lot of
So all of this rock here, so you can imagine, things started to shift and fall that way, and then washed all of this rock down here, and then just to my left, this would have been a waterfall dropping down about 30 feet off of this edge. And then we can also see the scar as it travels down and into town.
That is cool, isn't it?
That just forms a perfect dish aiming right at the city.
Yeah, the city was really very lucky, as far as damages it sustained. But unfortunately, whereas we had a lot of washout, and like I said, the canyon that I live in was destroyed, and we were stuck up on top of the mountain for about 6 days. But that's still nothing compared to a lot of the farming communities that were just east of us out in the plains. There was 4 foot of water for just miles and miles and miles around. A lot of people had a lot of issues with moving livestock quickly, and all sorts of flood mitigation issues. And I know a lot of people in mountain communities that didn't have the easiest time, because a lot of mountain communities are up right against actual rivers, where all this damage that you see, it's just done by little creeks and runoffs. The actual rivers really got out of control.
How long were you isolated?
We were isolated now up at the house. We were cut off for 6 days. And it was one of the roads that led up to our house was just cut in half by water, and it also turned into one of those 15-foot waterfalls. And of course, now that we're up here, I can start to hear some of the prairie dogs calling. And they will warn all of the other prairie dogs and the little prairie dogs. Oh, we do have some, I don't know if we can get the sun out, but way up here on the ridge, we might get a better vantage point. We have some, a little herd of deer up on the hill.
Oh, cool.
So we have groups all across the nation that are watching us live and taking some people out and enjoying the foothills. And we have the Flatirons way off in the day.
There he is.
I'm gonna get some shots of these guys. Oh yeah. Not one even looking at me like, what the heck are you doing? So there's 7 of them up there. I'll take a wide shot that might show a little better here with the foothills in the back. And again, all of these photos that I'm taking here, once I'm done, I will pop down and get those up, and you'll see an album come up on the Virtual Photowalks website there, or the G Plus page. You can always look back and scroll through there and some of the past events to see, where we've gone. And
well, you guys coordinate it. Send me a memo. Let me know what you're doing.
Absolutely. There we go. There we go.
I've got too much to do.
John, I just downloaded the app too.
Wants to do it.
Oh, I can't wait to do the geocaching. That'll be so much fun.
What's that, Betsy?
I just downloaded the app
Okay.
for geocaching.
Yeah, you'll find it stuff even right around here,
excellent.
within a mile. It's a very
I'm sure I would. That's what I'm excited about doing.
Very nice. No, it definitely sounds like an interesting thing.
Yeah, and it's like treasure hunting. It's kind of like going and doing your metal detecting. I mean, in a way.
Oh yeah. Yep, absolutely. I'm a fan of any kind of treasure hunting.
Yeah.
And it's not even the treasure. Sometimes it's just the hunting for the treasure that's the fun part.
Can you still see
If
the
it was
deer?
real cache, I'm sure there'd be. We can. Oh, one of them. Morning constitutional time for one of the deer, but they are up there, and they are. And to see if I can see any on my little screen here.
You guys see any
So
deer?
they are just under. They are just under this. So if you see them, really, they're just going to be little spots moving around up there. Now, even though they are far away, these deer are really no stranger to people. Quite often when I'm driving up and down the canyon, back and forth between town and my house, I'll see about a dozen or 2 of these deer, and they'll just be right on the side of the road, munching, or a lot of times they'll just be in the shade of a tree napping. So they're pretty used to us, and not too skittish at all. And definitely, you don't have to be as timid around them as some of the elk that we have out here in Colorado.
Our white-tailed deer like to.
Now the elk we saw, they are something else entirely. That is something you want to be very, very respectful of, because they are large creatures, and they are not shy about protecting their territory.
Oh, they're aggressive?
And unfortunately, when we went up to, the elk, not the deer, but the elk that live further up in the mountains. Really, there's about 3 herds of elk that are up in Estes Park. When it comes to rutting season, when all of the males start to clash horns with the other males for dominance, then the elk can really be some humbling creatures to be around. They are, probably 4 times bigger than the deer here.
Wow.
Tower above you, and if they start snorting at you, you just best thing to do is give them a wide berth or hide behind a tree.
The elk are 4 times larger than the deer, so you don't want to mess around with them.
There's something they can look up.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I just saw the reindeer at the Buffalo Zoo. Those are quite large too.
Mm-hmm. Now the elk, they do live in town, and they get along just fine with people. You hear that little squeak?
Yep. Did you guys hear the little? Susan, who's supposed to
And
be?
he's not gonna stop squeaking.
Where's the dustpan?
Dominic's in hot pursuit of a prairie dog.
We're just gonna stop and see if you guys can see him at all. But right this little guy's right here, and I'll pull out so it focuses over there.
Okay.
I'm going to grab some photos of him.
You can't quite. Is he still above ground? Can't see.
Oh, he's still above ground, and you know the thing about these guys, like a lot of the wildlife we have out here,
Well, there he is.
is that they. Oh, do you see? I wish I could zoom in on this one, and the thing about these guys, he's chirping at us so that all of the other prairie dogs that are in the area can get away. So he's chirping to get my attention. And so I'm focused on him, but if I were a predator that tried to get close to him, he's just going to pop down in that hole, and then another prairie dog, maybe over here, will pop up and will start to make this same sound.
Yeah, we can hear them now.
So that way, if I was a predator, I would just spend all of my time running back and forth between the burrows. Again, if you can see him, he is just right here.
Yeah, we can hear him.
We can inch a little closer here as we. Now this little chirp, and we will go ahead and get a little closer. We're just going to go a couple feet at a time and then just rest. Again, we're just going a little bit at a time here. But now these chirps that they're making, they have a number of scientists that have done studies with the prairie dog's language. Now the prairie dogs, they have one of the most extensive animal languages known to man. As the wind picks up here, I'm going to try and cup it a little bit. But these guys, they're chirps, whereas to us, you know, just sounds like just a chirp, any old normal chirp. They have studied these prairie dogs and have found that they actually use, I think it's 150 to 250 different words. When he makes these chirping noises, they can actually distinguish between, so when they are communicating like this to the rest of the colony, they're actually saying stuff like a winged predator. They will distinguish with their language between a four-footed dog or wolf or coyote and a hawk. So when they send that warning out, the rest of the colony knows, do they look on the ground or do they look up the sky? So in the studies too, they've said that they distinguish between not only types of creatures, but sizes of creatures and also colors. The theory is, when they've done these studies, that these prairie dogs will be actually able to say almost human in red. So they'll be able to distinguish. So the prairie dogs know which predators have been spotted or not. So in this area, a lot of their chirps, I'm sure, are dog and people, as well as hawk. So again, we're just moving a couple feet closer at a time, and we're, you know, probably within 15 feet of this guy. Oh. You know, this is where, yeah, he doesn't like me moving closer, so we're going to just hang here for a second. Helps if I turn away and look in a different direction here. So can you guys see him pretty well? Trying to say again, he's just right there. Squeaking away. He's calmed down a little bit, so we'll try to move just a couple feet closer. You know, and the reason he hasn't run away yet is he's there and he's trying to distract me from this prairie dog hole right here. So I'm pretty close to one of the other exits and entrances in the burrow. So he's doing his darndest to say, hey, we're over here, which really just tells me that something's in this burrow behind me. And there he goes. Oh, and you can hear him kind of like Bill Murray. You can hear the little squeaks disappearing down the hole. Oh, the gophers.
I like.
Yeah, I'm glad we got close enough to see a little prairie dogs. Were you guys able to get a good view of him there?
Did you guys see him? He was cutting in and out, but we saw the hole.
He blended in pretty well.
Yeah, they are the same color as all this brown grass you see here.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
What color? It was brown, right? They don't want any of the hawks to come and eat them.
Yep, they are exactly. So they blend in. If you're a coyote or a fox or even a hawk looking down at them, they don't look much different than the ground or the grass. So it is tough to see a lot of this stuff, and that's why I brought my long lens with me. So hopefully I'll get at least a half a dozen photos of some of this stuff, and we'll put them up on the page again. Another beautiful Boulder sky here. Again, we have about 300 sunny days on average, so I really get spoiled out here.
Thank you, Dominic.
All right, that sounds good to me. Well, thanks again for everyone that joined us today here with Virtual Photo Walks.
Thank you.
I'm Dominic Phillips. Thank you, guys. We're here in the North Foothills of Boulder, Colorado, so I hope you guys enjoyed the walk. Hope you guys got to see some stuff. Like I said, I'm going to get down to the coffee shop now and upload some of the photos, so look for those on the Virtual Photo Walks page. And if you guys have any comments or suggestions, feel free to send them our way. We'll Photo Walk later.
Yay.
Thank you, Dominic.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Everyone, have a good day.
All right, guys.
Sounds good. Thanks
Bye.
again. And goodbye.